Guys, it has been an amazing journey so far here on the Colour Plane podcast. We have got so much love, support, and feedback from all of you guys listening out there. A lot of DMs, Jesse.
Jack, we love a long DM. We love reading through those. We also love drunken guys come up to us at the club telling us how much they love the podcast. But what we really need is a 5-star review and to follow it. It goes so much further than you might think. Sorry to sound buggy, but please do it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
The most effective way to grow a brand in 2023 is by giving value. Now, I know that sounds broad, and value comes in various ways and different forms and shapes. So I'm going to take you back to when I started my business journey. I was about 19 years old, and for Christmas, I received Gary V's Crushing It. Now, I know Gary V, he's got a pretty large stigma, Jack.
He does have a big stigma, but...
You know, we've all seen those 15-second videos of him yelling at someone and like, it's a bit of carry on.
Yeah, his face is everywhere.
Everywhere.
And you hear the same messages a lot, but I think this is where our chat's directed at today, is like those messages are so profound, some of them, and especially this one in terms of value.
Yes, stay with us, because I know you've heard Gary Vee earlier in this podcast and you're like, shit, I got to exit out of here. But no, I think, to be honest, I've consumed a lot of Gary Vee content, and I must tell you that Crushing It is definitely one that I've always stuck by. Anyone that's ever read it has also resonated with that. You've read it?
I've read it. Yeah, great book.
Great book. You know, it's timeless. To be honest, the way the book's structured is a lot of short stories from different brand owners, different entrepreneurs. One that stuck with me, I remember there was a guy running a gym, and I believe he gave free memberships out for like the first few months to everyone that would come through. And in a while, he grew to like 10 gyms because everyone was obsessed with the value they got. So every short story in this book is a completely different business.
It's very digestible. Like you could read one story and that could give you all the value you need, you know, for your own business. So
definitely,
that's the beauty of it, I think.
I really recommend this book to anyone who's like starting, has like not really been in a business on their own or with a partner before. It's a great foundational book. It really didn't even rewire, it wired my brain to know how to approach business.
Yep.
And I think it's been my number one principle for the last 4 years. I've reflected on it. I will reread the book this year, I believe, especially with Colour Plane in its early stages. I want to just keep on that path. Thing with value is it's essentially delayed gratification is what we're talking about. And we will dive into specifics. I'll give you some examples right now. So giving value as a brand, it could be adding stickers into the parcel package. It could be writing a handwritten note, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. Yes, because value, you got to give something that has some value, right? Like that's the number one thing.
It's the name of the game. Value, and it's the name of the...
Exactly, right? It's pretty straightforward. But the thing about value is it always takes a bit of a burden on you first. And that's the hardest part. I think delayed gratification, not seeing the instant reward, especially in this day and age, Jack.
There's often some risk involved at the inception of it. Like you have to give up something to get something, right? So at that start, there's like, whether it's a financial risk, whether it's a time risk. So you have to give to get.
Look, it's quite a foreign principle right now because you jump on TikTok and they're giving you bloody notifications for people that have checked your profile. Like you're getting dopamine, quicker than ever these days. Like they'll give you a bloody notification about nothing. So that's the era we live in. It's very instant, the gratification we get more than ever, right? So giving value in 2023 is difficult. It's probably harder than ever mentally, but I promise you, I've used it in the brands that I've run. I'll give you an example. We had a pop-up about 2 Boxing Days ago, and we had about 500 people line up at this pop-up. Now, we made a decision the night before the pop-up that every single person that lined up was going to get a free bag, a tote bag, worth about 15 to 20 Australian dollars. You do the maths, 500 people, $15 to $20 per bag. We're spending upwards of $10,000 just giving it away, literally handing $10,000 out to the public. There was a lot of trepidation. We were extremely nervous about it. We're crunching the numbers. Like, are we actually going to do this? Will we see that money back? That's the doubt that you get. It always comes as soon as you start. But long story short, we gave out a bag to every single person in that line. Best believe every single person probably bought more than they were going to buy initially because they got the free bag, probably to put their clothes in. And things like that only build your business. Of course, we saw, that was pretty instant gratification because that's a pop-up. It's a rare example. But to be honest, it's why the next pop-up was going to be double because people hear about that bag and that's their value add to come to line up at the pop-up. As soon as you get a line at a pop-up, you're off and away.
Yeah, and that's obviously just one example, and there's so many different ways you can bring value. It's a universal principle. So I think, today we're really going to go deep on a few and how we plan to bring value too, through Color Plane, through this podcast, for example. So
just quickly, Jack, like this isn't some hidden secret. You look at brands like Supreme, they've been giving away stickers, the box logo stickers, you name it. It's been one of their core principles. It's all the biggest brands in the world do this. It's not groundbreaking, but I promise you, when it's done right, you will always see more back than what you give.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, it's like it comes and goes. Like you just want it to be at the forefront and you want it to be a mentality as you navigate, whether a business or just life. Like I know, like for me, sometimes it's like, it's been like, value, bring value. And then for a month, like I've switched off and like I haven't been thinking about bringing value for whatever reason. There's 100 other things going on, right? But I think that's why crushing it is so good.
Look, it works. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah.
And I'm with Jack. It definitely, giving value isn't something you're going to think about every month of the year. But when you do, you always seem to get to that goal you were trying to achieve. It's always sort of the avenue. But it's funny how quickly you lose sight of it.
Yeah.
So I think, as Jack's talked about, with Color Plane, we're certainly going to implement giving value. And I think the first thing we're looking at doing is we've got this big sample order coming in. It's about 400 garments.
Yeah. So the first sample order is about 400 garments, and you're looking at probably about $15,000 that we've put up front, and we plan to give away every single one of those garments. So yeah, it's about a $15,000 donation, if you want to call it. But we know that that's going to come back tenfold. We get to get it into lots of people's hands. People get to see the quality, X, Y, and Z. And yeah, so I think that's a big way we're going to bring value.
It's really important to note as well on that, Jack. This is like a real world example. Is with us giving away 400 garments, it's 400 people that can then speak to one or two friends. Even if they just spoke to, say, one friend, so now we're at 800 people. Let's pretend those 800 become customers. Let's just go with this, quick math. Like, we're one brand, and now we have 800 people wanting to, like, take on our services. So you always win. You always see more than what you gave. If you do it right, honestly, it's the most incredible experience.
Yeah. And it is tough because you can't really measure it, right? Like those 50 customers that we get 2 years down the line, like
correct.
There's no way to know that came from giving out a free hoodie.
Best believe it did though.
Right. Well, exactly. Yeah. I think that's where the trust component really comes in. You just got to trust in what you're doing and the value that you're bringing is going to come back, and it will. And it could be in 100 different shapes and forms.
Correct.
But just believe in that it is going to come back. And if you carry that mindset in everything that you do, I mean, I promise it's proven, it's form. Like it's a proven method. It'll come back to you.
I think on that note, Jack, we spoke a lot about the financials and the garments, the real physical things, but it's also, giving a really thought out response to your customer, giving them a voice memo and showing them that you actually really care, sending them a free garment when they've lost their garment at the post office or when there's like a hole in it or something that's gone wrong, doing those things always goes so much further than what you think.
So obviously the samples that we're bringing in, the 400 units that we're just planning to give out, is a big way that we at Color Plane are going to bring value off the bat. And another way is obviously this podcast, bringing information to our audience, to our customers, to you guys out there, by sitting down with extremely interesting people, different creatives, different people from all types of business, and telling their stories and trying to kind of squeeze out those gems that can not only help us but help you guys out there navigate your way in whatever that may be or look like in terms of business or life.
And Jack, look, I don't mean to be that guy, but if you guys could follow this podcast or leave it a 5-star review, I have to ask, because the reality is the more reviews we get, the more this podcast is listened to, the bigger the potential is to get on just all different types of guests.
Different types of guests, yeah. I mean, just more interesting stories, really. We've had, a lot so far, but, all we want to do is grow this and continue to give value to you guys in, 100 different ways.
It's our number one priority, and we've written this down. It lives above our beds in our house. We don't sleep in the same room. It's a whiteboard. It's thereabouts. But Jack, the thing is, we've started this podcast to give value that's not given anywhere else, and that the specific value we're giving is decreasing the barriers that exist. So there's a lot of hidden things, whether that's the financials that creators make, the processes they they practice. We want you to know those. We don't believe in the 9 to 5. Let's call it straight. We think you can live through your means, through the way you want to live, through the things you love doing.
Yeah, so for us to go where we want to take this podcast, and that is, a podcast that travels around the world, sits down with, amazing people that are doing, amazing things, from all different countries, cultures, etc.
Walks of life.
100%. Yeah. So those reviews, those follows, those likes, they go a long way, a lot further than you guys know. So yeah, if you guys could please help us out with that, that'd be great. We also have a lot of other avenues and platforms where we bring value to our customers and our audience. One of those is our Facebook group. That has been, instrumental, I think, for us in just, communicating with others, hearing other stories, helping people grow, connecting others together. If you guys haven't already, jump in that Facebook group. We'll chuck the link somewhere up here for you guys to hop on. I think that if you guys are interested in this space, that's a great tool for you guys going forward.
Yeah, we love the Facebook group. It's such a different medium. It's quite private. It's quite small at the moment, but it's definitely been growing with this podcast. So if you guys want to jump in there, I think there's no better place to learn, have a reference point, a physical reference point you can jump back to when you need.
100%.
And reach out. There's a ton of different creators in there from all over the country. Yeah, I think it'd be a great starting point for young individuals. Yeah,
to wrap it up, guys, just value. That's the name of the game. It's what's helped Jesse and myself a lot in our previous endeavors, and something that we try to remind ourselves of on a daily basis. Crushing it, great tool. So if you guys are looking for a book, there's nice weather at the moment, so get outside with a bit of a book and set yourself up for a great 2023.
Speaking of nice weather, Jack have been spending a lot of time in it and probably taken a few too many weeks off from this podcast. A little bit rusty today. Stick with us. Guys, we'll be back. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.